What is going on, everybody? Sports Expert here, and we are doing our Week 6 college football predictions plus the spread. We have predictions for every FBS game here. So before we start this video, please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. Like the video. Comment what you think. I would really appreciate that, everybody. So yeah, as we're going to be doing more college football videos tomorrow, our next video will be next couple of videos will be interesting. We'll have our updated NFL big board of what college players I believe are the top prospects in the draft through the first 6 weeks of the season. Then we'll also do our top 131, our power rankings for college football. And yeah, so we're going to be doing some player rankings and stuff like that too. There'll be much more content for sure. So yeah, just stick around, everybody, and we'll probably do takeaways as well from this past week and what to expect going forward. So let's get started, as we're going to go through some predictions quick because, there's a lot. So SMU versus UCF on Wednesday night at UCF. I'm going to take SMU in this one. I think their high-powered offense will end up taking it over UCF. I don't trust John Reese Plumlee. Nebraska versus Rutgers. Rutgers at home. I think that gives them the advantage. I think they're going to come out with a win here, not trusting Nebraska at the time. Houston versus Memphis. Memphis is at home. Dana Holgorsen and Houston have been very, underwhelming. Give me Memphis and to cover the spread. CSU versus Nevada. Nevada at home. Colorado State looks like one of the worst teams in the FBS. Give me Nevada -3.5 at home. UNLV versus San Jose State. San Jose State at home for a big matchup in the Mountain West. Could be the two potential favorites in the Mountain West, which is crazy. Give me UNLV in an upset on the road. I think Brumfield's going to have a big game. I think they're going to be able to run the ball in San Jose State. Give me UNLV. Michigan versus Indiana. Michigan's on the road for this one. I'm going to take Michigan in this one, but I'm going to take Indiana to cover the 21.5. Tennessee versus LSU. Give me Tennessee in this one. And Tennessee -3. I think they'll cover the spread. I think the offense with Hendon Hooker leading the charge will outscore LSU with ease. I just don't trust Jay Daniels right now, and LSU will follow the top 25 after 1 week. TCU versus Kansas. As much as I want Kansas to win this game, I'm going to take TCU on the road, but I will take Kansas to cover the spread. I think Daniels versus Dugan's a really nice matchup, and I think it'll be a very close game. Just give me TCU in the edge here. Arkansas versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State at home. Arkansas has struggled. Give me Mississippi State, and I think they actually cover the 6.5. Will Rogers has turned into a Heisman candidate. Missouri versus Florida. Missouri played a tough game versus Georgia and Florida, but I think they're going to come back down to earth here as Florida will win at home, and they'll cover the 10-point spread. Texas versus Oklahoma. I'm going to say Texas wins this one on the road. We don't know the status of Dylan Gabriel, and Oklahoma's a mess right now. Quinn Ewers will be coming back. Texas -6.5 on the road. Purdue versus Maryland. Purdue on the road. I'm going to say take Purdue in an upset here. They're 4-point underdogs on the road. I think Aiden O'Connell should be enough for Purdue to potentially win some more games this season and pull off upsets. I really like Purdue here. Louisville versus Virginia. This is an interesting one because Malik Cunningham did get injured. With Malik Cunningham, I'm taking Louisville and Louisville -3.5 on the road. Without Malik Cunningham, I'm taking Virginia at home. So, yeah. Eastern Michigan versus Western Michigan. I'm going to take Western Michigan on the road. Eastern Michigan struggled against UMass last week, and I'm not too sure what they're going to do here, but I'm actually going to take them to cover the +5. Buffalo versus Bowling Green. Buffalo on the road. They'll take the road upset. Kind of surprised Bowling Green's favored in this game, but I think +2 is a very good value for Buffalo bettors. Akron versus Ohio. Ohio is an 11-point favorite at home, and I think they'll cover the spread and win against DJ Irons-led Akron. Georgia Southern versus Georgia State. Georgia State got the first win of the season last week. I think they're going to go on a bit of a streak here. I think they beat Georgia Southern at home, and they cover the 2.5. USF versus Cincinnati. Give me Cincinnati at home here, but I'm going to say South Florida covers the spread. I think it'll be a bit closer than people think. Cincinnati's back in the top 25. Well-deserved, but I think USF will compete a bit. Auburn versus UGA. UGA struggled versus Missouri, but I think they're going to be angry. They're going to win at home, and they're going to cover the 29.5. Stetson Bennett will be much better. They are missing Jalen Carter, though, but I don't think that'll affect them too much. Texas Tech versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State at home. I'm going to stick with the red hot Oklahoma State Cowboys, and I'm going to say they cover the 10. Utah versus UCLA. Give me Utah on the road here, and I think they're going to cover the 3-point spread. I know UCLA is 5-0. They're playing good football, but I think Cam Rising is definitely on a roll here. even with some injury issues. I'm going to take Utah. Could be the best team in the Pac-12 if they win this game. Liberty versus UMass. Liberty should win this game on the road, and I'm going to say they do cover the 24.5. I think Salter will have a big game. Wisconsin versus Northwestern. Give me Wisconsin on the road here, but I'm going to say Northwestern boldly covers the 10. We'll see what happens here, but I'm not too sure with Wisconsin. Jim Leonard could be much better for them, but at the same time, I think they're going to have to make some adjustments, and Northwestern will be able to cover. Virginia Tech versus Pitt. I'm going to take Pitt at home after their loss to Georgia Tech. I'm going to say they cover the 14.5. Virginia Tech's a really bad football team. Don't trust them at all. ECU versus Tulane. With Michael Pratt, I'm taking Tulane and Tulane minus 2.5 at home. Without Michael Pratt, I'm taking East Carolina on the road in a road upset. Tulsa versus Navy. Tulsa on the road. I think Tulsa's high-powered offense will win this game, and they'll cover the 4-point spread. Ball State versus Central Michigan. Give me Ball State on the road. They're 8.5-point underdogs, but I think Jack Paddock and the Ball State Cardinals will be able to pull off an upset here. Central Michigan looks really sloppy. Toledo versus Northern Illinois. With Rocky Lombardi, I'm going to take Northern Illinois at home. They are a 5.5-point underdog, so it's probably not ideal for Lombardi's chances at playing, but we'll see. And I'm going to take Toledo to win if he doesn't play, but I'm going to say Northern Illinois still covers the spread. Kent State versus Miami, Ohio. Give me Kent State on the road here in an upset. I really like Colin Shee, but I'm going to say Miami, Ohio covers the 5.5 with Chuck Martin's squad. MTSU versus UAB. Give me MTSU in a 9-point upset. I like Chase Cunningham. I think the MTSU team is rolling, especially with that offense. Give me them in an upset. Ohio State versus Michigan State. Ohio State on the road against a poor Michigan State secondary and football team. Give me them to win and cover. Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt. Give me Ole Miss on the road. I think they'll cover the 18.5. I'm not sure why Mike Wright hasn't been starting for Vanderbilt, but I think Ole Miss is going to take advantage of that. Washington versus Arizona State. Give me Washington on the road here. Washington minus 13.5 on the road against Arizona State. I was very highly considering Arizona State covering here. I think Washington just barely covers by a couple scores. As they do, they'll win by a couple scores. Duke versus Georgia Tech. Give me Duke on the road. I'm going to take Duke here, and I'm going to take a -3. I know Georgia Tech had that win versus Pitt, but I'm going to trust Riley Leonard and company here more. UNC versus Miami. Drake May-led offense will come out here and pull off an upset. They might not have the greatest defense in the world, but we knew that with Middle Tennessee too, and they were able to outscore this Miami team. Give me UNC. I really like Drake May. He's a star. He's I believe he's a redshirt freshman, and he will be a future top draft pick. Western Kentucky versus UTSA. Give me Western Kentucky with a 6.5-point underdog win on the road. Give me them. I think Austin Reed will be able to find his spots. I don't know about Frank Harris. I like him, but I'm going to say UTSA struggles a bit in this game. Air Force versus Utah State. Air Force on the road. They should win this game, and I'm going to say they cover with their highly powered read option offense. Wyoming versus New Mexico. New Mexico with the 3.5-point upset at home. I'm not too sure about Wyoming, especially on the road. New Mexico competed with UNLV last week on the road. I think New Mexico's better than the record says. James Madison versus Arkansas State. James Madison on the road. They were in my top 25 if you want to check that video out from yesterday. Give me James Madison on the road, but I'm going to say Arkansas State plays solid enough offense with Butch Davis's squad, or Butch Jones, to cover the 10.5. App State versus Texas State. App State on the road. Should be an easy win for them. I'm going to say they do cover the 19. That one was close as well. I almost considered Texas State. Southern Miss versus Troy. Troy is looking good. One of the better defenses in the country. Got a nice upset win against Western Kentucky. Not really surprised about that one. I picked Western Kentucky to win that game. I probably should have picked Troy. But hey, Troy minus 6.5 here at home. UConn versus FIU. UConn coming off a big win versus a Jake Hayner-less Fresno State. FIU coming off a big win on the road against New Mexico State. And I do have a take about New Mexico State in my takeaways. So we'll go there. So give me UConn, but I'm going to say FIU covers spread. I think it'll be very close with Grayson James, who had a big game versus New Mexico State. Utep versus Louisiana Tech. Sonny Cumbie, one of the most classiest coaches in all of college football and maybe all of sports. Give me Louisiana Tech. His team's going to come out here firing. They're going to cover the 3 easily. Clemson versus Boston College. I'm going to say Clemson wins on the road, But I was encouraged what I saw from Boston College last week. I think they're going to go back home and compete with Clemson. They're going to cover this. Washington State versus USC. USC will win at home, but Washington State will cover. Cam Ward and the defense will do enough to keep this game close, but I think Caleb Williams and company will end up pulling away. South Carolina versus Kentucky. Give me Kentucky at home. I have Kentucky covering the 10.5 as well. Shouldn't be an issue unless Kentucky struggles against inferior competition again. Army versus Wake Forest. I'm taking Wake Forest at home. I don't trust Army. Army looks very poor this year, and their defense looks poor. Give me Wake Forest minus 17. BYU versus Notre Dame. Give me BYU in a 3.5-point underdog road upset. Jaron Hall makes a statement for quarterback 3 in this draft class. BYU is going to go off here. Kansas State versus Iowa State. I'm going to say Kansas State wins on the road. I don't trust Iowa State and Hunter Deckers. I think it's kind of a rebuilding year for that squad. And the next year is maybe a contending year in the Big 12 once again. Matt Campbell, still a very good coach. But I'm going to take Chris Kleeman's squad minus 2. I trust Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn to go off again. Iowa versus Illinois. Give me Illinois at home. But I'm going to say Iowa covers the spread. I think they'll win by 3 or less. I'm going to say Iowa covers the spread with that defense. Illinois does enough on offense so to win. I just don't trust Spencer Petras at all. Texas A&M versus Alabama. Alabama should win easily here at home, but I'm going to say Texas A&M actually ends up covering the spread. We do not know if Bryce Young will be healthy or even if he'll play. FSU versus NC State. Give me NC State here. And yeah, Jimbo Fisher beat Nick Saban last year. Maybe he has something up his sleeve. NC State at home. I think they'll cover the 3.5. Devin Leary loves to bounce back. He'll do it here. Coastal Carolina versus UNO Monroe. Give me the undefeated Chanticleers on the road, but I'm going to say UNO Monroe surprises some people with a 14-point cover. Oregon versus Arizona. Give me Oregon on the road. This one was interesting to me. If Oregon was a 10-point favorite or more, Arizona was covering, and they're 13-point favorites. I'm going to say Arizona easily covers this 13. Fresno State versus Boise State. Without Jay Kaner, can't trust Fresno State. Give me Boise State at home, minus 7.5. And yeah, Fresno State was on the road when they lost to UConn, not at home. So they'll lose here probably in the blue field. Hawaii versus San Diego State. I have a take about Hawaii in my takeaways as well. So San Diego State, I'm going to take them here. I'm going to take them minus 20. A team that's really struggled, but I think they'll get things going against Hawaii. Very bad Hawaii team. Oregon State versus Stanford. Stanford at home. I'm going to take them in a big upset here. Plus 7. David Shaw will have his team ready. Tanner McKee ready to have a big game. Not too sure about Oregon State. They're piling up with injuries. That's killing them. It's killing Nolan's chance at doing anything. So yeah, Chance Nolan just killing it. But I appreciate his chances with all these injuries. But I appreciate everyone being here. I believe Musgrave, their top pass catcher, is still out. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Otherwise, he's not healthy. But I appreciate everyone being here. Sports expert here. Those are my predictions this week. I'm out, guys. Peace.